The all-new Toyota RAV4 asks, what if? What if your ride was refined and rugged at the same time? Introducing the all-new RAV4 Hybrid. 208 combined horsepower and standard all-wheel drive make it the most powerful RAV4. Plus, with its head-turning style and breakaway speed, it's bound to change the way you think of a hybrid. The all-new RAV4 Hybrid. Toyota. Let's go places. Horsepower. Ratings achieved using the required premium unleaded gasoline with an octane rating of 91 or higher. Premium fuel is not used. Performance will decrease.
They say he's got to go, 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 Godzilla! Oh no! There goes Tokyo, go, go, Godzilla!
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Source Material Podcast. We are just outside of Marvel Event May, and we're heading into June here with a big show. This is probably one of the bigger shows. Some of the most guests we've had on tap for the Source Material Podcast. We're going to be talking about some big things, Mark Radlich.
Big things.
Big things. Yes, the patriarch Mark Radlich is here. Are you ready to talk big things, Mark Radlich?
Yeah, let me get this out of the way first. I'm sorry, everybody.
Pre-apology accepted. So, all right, from Honeysuckle Rose Creations, and tonight she will be our mistress of mega monsters, Alexis Hana. Welcome to the podcast. Are you ready to talk some mega monsters?
I certainly am. Took me a while, but I was finally able to get my copy of the comic book out from underneath my dog.
Yeah, did the dog enjoy it?
Did the dog read it?
The dog.
You really think my dog would enjoy this?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be tough for us to say that we did. Maybe it's for dog. I don't know.
My Cocker Spaniel has taste.
The man, that voice you hear, the man who attempted to explain to me at one point there was a movie in the mid-'60s called Frankenstein Conquers the World. Justin Thomas is here, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Thomas, this I know is right in your wheelhouse. We're going to be talking some Godzilla tonight. Are you ready, sir?
I'm all over this. I mean, Seriously, I'm just all about Toho movies.
And we have a fourth guest on here tonight. You heard him last time during Marvel Event May, lending a hand on Secret Invasion, and now he's here to commentate on some kaiju. Evan Bevins, welcome to the podcast. Welcome back to the podcast, sir. Are you ready to talk some Godzilla?
Jesse, my Dynasty Fantasy Football team is named the Jet Jaguars. So what do you think?
Ooh.
How are you pronouncing Jaguars?
Like that.
Well, boy, did we have an episode a while back where me and Mark Radlich discussed pronunciation of Jaguar. But
Jaguar.
Anyway, Jaguar, yeah, sure. Okay. Now these
Jaguar.
So let's go around the horn here real quick before we get into this. We're going to be discussing Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters. This comes out 2011, goes into 2012. We're only discussing Volume 1. Well, excuse me. I'm going to synopsis Volume 1. We are going to probably discuss what happened afterwards, because Justin and Mark did read all 12 issues of this series. Alexis, you only had the first trade, so you only got the 4 issues under your belt, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And that's probably enough for you. And Evan, did you say you had finished this in the past, or did you couldn't find the rest of the issues?
I read the first 4 issues. I read a synopsis of the following issues until somebody quit updating that wiki. Then lately I've been researching Godzilla's tenure at Marvel, so I will try to shoehorn that in whenever I can.
That's got to happen. Absolutely. Well, before we get into that, then, we're going to talk about our history with Godzilla. And I'm going to start us out here because, Godzilla films been around since Justin Thomas helped me out. First Godzilla was when? 1954. 1954. So I know that they had a long history in film, and usually when I would catch them, it would be on probably USA or some syndicated or some cable channel.
Usually TBS was where I called them at.
There you go, TBS.
Grandpa Munster showed me a lot of Godzilla movies.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I had I remember King Kong versus Godzilla as well, which was one of the first films that I can remember watching with Godzilla in it. But I wasn't a huge fan. I knew some of the mythology behind it, some of the creatures, because was just catching movies here and there. I couldn't tell you what the titles were, but I remember, Kid Godzilla or whatever the heck his name was. I remember the two.
His name was Skippy.
Wasn't it named like Manila or something?
Yeah, also pronounced Minya. They would pronounce it different ways. Yeah.
I remember him being awful happy, so Skippy feels like it's pretty apt, as a matter of fact. There's pretty much my extent. I caught it on TV. I wasn't, knee deep in the franchise or a big Godzilla fan, but I was excited when they were releasing one of the more recent movies, which I think is 2014. That's the one that stars Bryan Cranston, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So,
Breaking-Zilla.
Breaking. Yeah.
Or Godzilla hardly appearing in this movie.
Well, Brian,
They had some feelings they needed to talk about, Mark.
It's called Where's My Wife, a movie featuring Godzilla.
Perfect. But I was excited when they were bringing that to the forefront. And
Ignore me.
then I wanted to watch. I started Shin Godzilla a while back, but I never did finish that. To curtail that, Mark Radulich, tell me about your history with the Godzilla franchise.
Oh, well, I would consider myself to be a Godzilla expert and enthusiast. Obviously, you have the cinematic classic, really the high point of the Godzilla films, the 98 iteration with Matthew Broderick. Clearly,
Damn it, Mark!
Oh, man.
Jean Reno deserved top billing.
Honestly, I don't have a tremendous amount of history with Godzilla. That might have been the first Godzilla movie I ever saw.
Hey, Alexis, how long did Zilla last against a battle with the real thing, huh?
Less than 3 minutes. He basically took a shot from the tail and fell into the Sydney Opera House, to which the alien said, "Damn it, I knew we shouldn't have trusted that tuna-eating monster."
Yeah. Now, Mark, you may not be familiar with the reference that they're talking about here, but our Godzilla from the 1998 film did actually go up against Toho's Godzilla. Is that correct?
And Godzilla Final Wars, yes.
And Godzilla Final Wars, which is, that's a movie that Mark Radulich 90% I guarantee has not seen. But he did not last very long against the real thing. So hence, the 98 movie gets a lot of flack, and Mark, you are defending this thing when you guys
Hell or High Water, yeah.
You guys are doing an on trial on this one, right?
Goddamn right. Had this planned for over a year now since I knew when the movie was opening. You goddamn right.
It was on the schedule. All right. Moving on. Alexis Sana, tell me about Godzilla in your life.
Well, admittedly, like most millennials, my introduction was the 98 film. I just really didn't have access to the previous Godzilla movies. Godzilla, for the most part, I don't think was a huge thing over here in America until probably within recent years. So I thought that was an okay movie. Then I got older, started looking more into the classic Toho movies, started watching more of them, to the point that when Mothra's children defeated Godzilla, I stood up and shouted, "Are you kidding me? It only takes 2 Caterpies to kill this thing!" My love of Pokemon blending into other fandoms. No, but I do consider myself a pretty big Godzilla fan. My store, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, actually created a kaiju-inspired charm bracelet and matching barrette set featuring silhouettes of the different monsters from Toho.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Sweet.
Very nice. All right. Well, Justin Thomas, I know this is your game, sir. Tell me about when you first got introduced to Godzilla and what made you such a big fan.
Around the age of 3 or 4, me and my uncle used to watch the Creature Features, hosted by Grandpa Munster, of course, on TBS. And I remember starting off with King Kong versus Godzilla. Me and my uncle used to argue who won. I was always like, Godzilla won. My uncle would just torment me. I remember watching Godzilla's Revenge repeatedly on there. There was like a few that they would play repeatedly, like Godzilla versus the Thing, also known as Godzilla versus Mothra. They play that on there quite a bit too. But what really got my interest the most was when I finally got a copy of Godzilla versus Megalon on VHS.
Yes.
I watched that till I broke the tape. I mean, literally, I broke the tape watching that movie.
Is it just action-packed, or what made you like it so much?
It's just so action-packed is what it is. I mean, there's a huge battle at the end you got 2 against 2. You got Gigan and Megalon versus Godzilla and Jet Jaguar. I mean, it was so awesome seeing the 2-on-2 battle. So I had that, and then 98 came out. when 98 came out, they just started shoving Godzilla movies out like nothing. I mean, they just kept shoving them out on VHS and DVD and everything. And I was trying to get every single copy I could find of every movie. Between going to, they had them at Big Lots and Sun TV. I used to go to Sun TV and find them there as well.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'd pick up anything I could find. And finally, they started releasing the more rare titles. They started releasing those, and I was buying those on Best Buy. I was buying them on Best Buy whenever they'd be released.
Okay.
So I actually have a full collection of Godzilla films.
Wow.
I had the full set.
I understand that you at one point tried to explain to me the timeline, because you loaned me a few of these, and I remember I think you'd given me some of the DVDs, which I promptly made copies of, and I have sitting down here in the basement somewhere. But yeah, I remember one of the biggest things and one of the most daunting things to me was like the timeline for these films, and how like some of the stuff exists outside of canon, and this is the direct sequel, and, and all these other 20 movies or whatever. Yeah,
there's the Showa era, the Heisei era, or Heisei, however you want to pronounce it, and then there's the Millennial.
Well, then moving on to Evan Bevins. Evan, buddy, tell me your experience with Godzilla here. What brought you to Godzilla?
I'm pretty sure the first one I ever saw was Godzilla versus Megalon. It's everything you could ever want in a movie. And it's also what made me find Easter Island so interesting, because apparently Godzilla was hanging out there instead of Monster Island.
Okay.
So although Gigan was my personal favorite, the freaky bird-looking dude with hooks for hands and a buzzsaw in his chest.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So Godzilla versus Gigan, I do have on DVD, but so eventually I found Grandpa Munster showed me other ones. I recorded Godzilla versus Monster Zero off TBS, so watched that roughly 800 times. I also wore out a VHS copy of Godzilla vs. Megalon. I have another one that's not in so good a shape either.
Wait a minute. Is Godzilla vs. Megalon the one with the epic drop kick?
Where he goes clear across
where he
the
slides
screen
on his tail twice?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Where Japan is attacked by Seatopia.
Seatopia, yeah. Monster Zero has the Godzilla dance where he jumps up and he's got that pose.
Oh my goodness!
And then you got Godzilla versus Smog Monster, where he actually rockets himself with his heat ray, his fire breath, his heat ray. He actually rockets himself.
I also, my library had these awesome books about movie monsters, and so I checked out the Godzilla one a bunch of times. I remember being bored at a family reunion once, and I actually outlined a Godzilla novel when I was like in 4th grade. The farthest I got was there was a chapter called A Boy and His Gigan, but I never actually wrote anything other than the table of contents.
I think my school had those same books whenever I was in school. They had those same books. They were like orange.
Yes.
With a black and white monster picture cover.
Yes.
Yeah, my school had those. I rented those, borrowed those all the time.
Mark, I assume we're doing this book because there's a movie coming out, right?
No. Yes, of course. That's the one. Godzilla King of the Monsters comes out. It came out this past Friday, and we'll be reviewing it tomorrow on Damn You Hollywood, because time travel.
All right. Very good. All right. So IDW publishes this. This was written by Eric Powell and Tracy Marsh, at least these first 4 issues. An artist was Phil Hester, who I think stuck on for these first 4 and then was not present for the issues after that. So like I said, I'm just going to synopsis the first 4 issues, and then talking points all around, whatever you guys want to talk about that happened in the issues. I got a few things here. So, all right. Godzilla rises, and the world, starting with Japan, is taking notice. You got to be kidding me! When all conventional weaponry.
that was the popular phrase through the whole series.
When all
probably the only part that I actually laughed at in the whole series.
Oh my goodness! When all conventional weaponry fail to abate Godzilla's march towards Tokyo, they unleash a nuclear warhead on him that only serves to make him more powerful. Tokyo is not spared, and during Godzilla's rampage, another monster similar to a large-horned ankylosaurus, given the name Anguirus, appears in Mexico, and a winged pterodactyl named Rodan appears in Moscow. The U.S. President Ogden is making an effort to address a worried nation when Anguirus breaks through a Texas-Mexico border wall. This is 2011, folks. Texas-Mexico border wall now taking the destruction into the state. Meanwhile, in France, a couple of mute twins sharing a telepathic link care for an egg while it hatches a caterpillar-esque larva by the name of Batra. The twins have control of Batra and use it to attack France, but there is a concerning revelation as they find that Godzilla and Anguirus are heading straight for each other, and Los Angeles happens to be ground zero of our first monster battle. As destruction rains down on all those around them, our final issue focuses on a former military man by the name of Sergeant Woods, a man who has become disenfranchised with the spoiled way that Americans have been living, with their excess and their self-centered privilege. Being in LA for an interview after receiving the Medal of Honor, he is present when Godzilla and Anguirus meet. Barely surviving the end of the fourth issue leads us to believe he may take some action. There's your 4 issues.
Los Angeles becomes Los Angeles.
Indeed. Indeed, sir. Don't worry.
We've had that one in the chamber ever since we started, right?
Oh, yeah.
The puns will be coming. Justin Thomas is quite famous for those. So, all right, I'm opening up, Mark Radlich. I mean, you read all 12. Why don't you tell us just real quickly the highlights of what we got left in the next 8 issues, and then maybe some talking points about these first 4, however you want to do it, man.
Well, apparently King Ghidorah will eventually break out of his statue and will go and attack Godzilla. In the movies, Godzilla is made to be sort of a protector of humanity against other titans that are just having their way with the planet. This is the opposite, this comic. This presents Godzilla as essentially trying to establish dominance over the other they're not called titans in this. They're called something else. I don't remember what the...
Kaiju?
Monster.
Sure. Either one works.
It is a kingdom of monsters.
We're going with Biggins, okay. The other monsters that are erupting out of the hither and thither. There's that, but at one point, I think King Ghidorah is essentially summoned to defeat Godzilla. Godzilla ends up beating it. And so there's a plot line in this. They decide that they're going to bring all these jobs to Detroit, and those jobs are creating in a very short period of time. Because they don't really say how much time passes, but seemingly in the blink of an eye, Detroit auto workers create, get ready for it, Mecha Godzilla.
Nice.
Because if somebody was going to make Mechagodzilla, it was Detroit.
Yeah.
Technically,
I bet Eminem was playing while they built it.
I hope.
Technically, from the look of it, it's Super Mecha Godzilla 2.
Okay. All right. That's technically.
Technically, it also lost its first fight with Godzilla.
Just like in the movie.
It was a remote-controlled mechanical being that it loses its fight, and they lose control of the thing. And in its losing control, it starts to attack humans. So that's a problem.
Oh boy.
Eventually, it runs out of gas or something. I don't know, but the soldier who is complaining about white people problems
Sergeant
eventually finds it, and with the little girl that he's adopted, take it over. Basically, this turns into Pacific Rim. He controls Mechagodzilla, makes it fight Godzilla, and he wins.
Okay.
That's the story.
They don't kill the little girl?
No, the little girl gets a nod on the head when Mechagodzilla gets shot with Godzilla's atomic breath.
I am so surprised because everybody was dying in these first 4 issues. I mean, humanity did not have a chance. And we're going to, the start of this book are 2 kids on the beach who end up getting swallowed by Godzilla. And you're just like, okay, well, clearly all bets are off. Humanity is not standing a chance. Justin Thomas, the next 8 issues there, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, basically the mute girls pretty much were controlling Batra. And I mean, that's kind of cool and all. I mean, I did like that about the books because Mothra kind of has the little fairies, the little twins. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was kind of cool. Batra had her own version of that in a way because Batra never had that in the movie.
What is Batra anyway? Does Batra turn into a big moth?
Batra's the evil Mothra.
Okay.
From Godzilla and Mothra Battle for 1992. So anyways...
that is very impressive.
They're basically taking over Paris. They want to be queens. Mm-hmm. So they use Batra to take over Paris. And then, of course... Here comes Rodan into the picture after eating that horrid boy, which I was very happy he did.
Oh, the poor guy.
I was happy he ate that kid. That kid was a bastard.
Seriously, that scene freaked me out. I mean, he makes a joke about it's like, don't worry, I'll give you some food, like Mr. So-and-so's annoying cat. And then I figure that's a joke, and then he comes back, and he's got the cat in his bag, and it's like he's attending to feed the cat to this pterodactyl. I'm just like, what the hell?
And the cat lives. Yes.
Yeah,
And
the cat walks.
Apparently that's supposed to make us okay with Rodan eating him.
And then, yeah,
It didn't work for me.
You see all you see is like Rodan like choking on something, and then he spits out the hockey stick that kid was holding in his hands. Like, oh, well, geez, he criminy. All right, Rodan.
All I could think was, game on.
I just think it's an unfortunate mischaracterization of Rodan, who has been a leading kaiju and sculptor for many years.
Sculptor.
The thinker, you know.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, then.
So
You'll edit that so it sounds funny, right?
I didn't like the idea of the girls controlling Rodan. I mean, I thought that was pretty stupid. I could see Batra, but not Rodan. So I didn't agree with.
Why? Explain.
Rodan has never been controlled by anybody. It's always been pretty much Mothra, and I mean Batra is similar to Mothra, so that's the way I always pictured it. Rodan's pretty much always done his own thing. Same way with Godzilla, he's uncontrollable as well. But I didn't agree with the whole way the Japanese took Godzilla out, or tried to. I thought they were very rash about that. In the movies, they hesitate a lot about the whole nuclear.
Oh, the nuclear option, yeah.
Yeah, they hesitate horrible with that because of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I mean, and in this book, it's like, hey, there it is. Boom, boom, boom. We tried that. It didn't work. Okay, nuke it. Boom. You know, it just felt, it was out of place. It just very out of place.
Although, let's admit that the scene afterwards, like, well, apparently the nuke has given him the ability to breathe fire. That was actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
I agree with you that the build-up to using the nuke was horrible. Let's face it, if this comic suffers from, well, it suffers from a lot, but one of its biggest problems, the pacing in this thing is terrible. It jumps so quickly from story to story to story.
Back with that whole King Ghidorah thing. King Ghidorah was actually a good guy in one Godzilla movie. So that's actually true.
There's a precedent for that. Okay.
It was in GMK, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, giant all-out monster attack that happened where Godzilla was the big bad and King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Baragon, who was actually a good guy for a change, who was not in the titles, was trying to take Godzilla out.
Okay. So,
yeah, see, Justin, I trust you, and I believe in your knowledge of this, but you realize you could just totally make this stuff up, and we'd be like, oh, that's interesting.
Then there was the time Godzilla took on the Ghostbusters, and and we'd all just run with it. Yeah, I remember that. Sure.
Wait, was there an episode of the Ghostbusters animated series where they fought a kaiju? You would think that would have come up.
Had to have happened. Had to have. Go ahead, Justin. Continue, please.
Anyways, I'm just saying the whole thing with the Super Mecha Godzilla 2, as I call it, that was pretty cool. I mean, taking out Godzilla and King Ghidorah with those electric lines that shot out of its arms, that's straight from Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2. I mean, that's straight from that movie.
It's sounding like they are pulling a lot from Godzilla lore with just a handful of maybe mischaracterizations, like your example with the Japanese.
It's definitely pulling from different movies and stuff. The whole Mechagodzilla attacking the people, that was actually more like Mechagodzilla 3 from Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla, where they also called the Mechagodzilla Kiyu, which was a cyborg created from the remains of the original Godzilla.
So the monsters felt at least somewhat genuine in your opinion then, Justin, right? When you read through the series?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some genuine thing there, but like I said, the whole Rodan thing, that was...
Other than that stuck out to you.
And the King Ghidorah, of course, they went with the other way instead of the whole coming from space. I mean, Rodan was the only one they really changed. They even changed his origin. I mean, instead of coming from an egg in a mine shaft, he came from a piece of a meteorite.
Yeah.
I thought, I thought the egg was sort of crystallized in the meteorite. I guess that's what I thought it was.
But yet the meteorite came from space. That's the thing. Yeah, that's the whole thing there. And I didn't like Mark will understand what I'm talking about here. I didn't like the very end of the book because it introduced Space Godzilla.
Yes!
See, Space Godzilla cannot exist without Biollante.
Okay.
When Biollante was defeated along with Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Biollante,
no.
it's its seeds and stuff went into the air, and Mothra left the Earth, those seeds and stuff went out into space, and that's how Space Godzilla was formed.
Is this going to be on the test?
I trust me, I would fail miserably. Is what would happen.
I laughed pretty hard at the end with the Space Godzilla. Again, having no reference to anything, I was like, that's fucking hilarious. I want to see what happens next now.
I was like, man, it can't exist, though. It's got to have Biollante first.
Well, all right, Evan Bevins.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the 4 issues that you read here? What are the things that stuck out to you?
Well, we talked about the kids dying at the beginning, and then you have the delightful scene where the new father tries to save the little old lady who fell down, and they get stomped on. That's when I remembered Godzilla versus Bambi. I'm like, well, yeah, when Godzilla stomped on Bambi, that was funny. This not so much. I mean, I guess they wanted to be like, hey, this is serious Godzilla. But again, I grew up when Godzilla tail slid into villains. That's how I like my Godzilla. And then so you've got that. Yeah, part of me laughed at the we hit him with a nuclear bomb and now he can breathe fire. But then I'm like, wait a minute. So am I supposed to find this funny? I love stuff that mixes humor and serious storytelling. It does not work here. I'm like, oh, that was kind of funny, and I'm still like, so Godzilla just killed a whole bunch of people. Also, it reminded me of Ang Lee's Hulk movie where they had to explain, that he had starfish DNA and all this stuff. It's not enough that just he's big and green and really strong. So now we have to have an origin for Godzilla breathing fire, as if Godzilla himself isn't enough to explain it.
Straight out of 1998, it can't just be a mythical creature. It has to be a mutated lizard of some kind.
The thing that frustrated me, and maybe this isn't something they did wrong as much as my expectations, but I kept waiting, and we finally got him, I think, with Sergeant Woods in issue 4. But I'm like, okay, so who are we following here? And so I think the kid's dad. I'm like, maybe he's the point of view character.
Yeah,
and then no.
He puts together a suicide vest. This is the one that this is the father of the 2 kids at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
He puts together what looks to be a suicide vest, goes onto one of the tallest buildings in the book. Godzilla walks up to it and he jumps, and you're like, oh man, he's going to do some damage. And he explodes right on Godzilla's nose. And here's my notes, okay? The fisherman father of the 2 kids in the first issue attempts to kill Godzilla with a suicide bomb that equates to a small boop on the nose, and Godzilla does not like to be booped. Because immediately he rubs his nose and then obliterates the building the guy was standing on.
Am I alone in thinking that should have been followed with Godzilla saying, "Get away from me, kid, you bother me"?
It was like nothing to him, and you felt sad because I was like, oh, this guy's motivated. He's going to get some revenge. All that build up, Evan, you're right. All that build up to what this guy's going to do. We watch his kids die, and now he's looking for his kids, and he figures out he's going to do something, and it's like nothing. It means absolutely nothing in the book and to Godzilla.
I think that's what they were going for, even with all the politics, because they did try to insult liberals and conservatives alike. It wasn't
equally, yeah.
It wasn't leaning too much one way or the other. And I think the point of all the politics and everything was the idea that here's all this stuff that we get worked up about, that we think is important. And when you're faced with something like these monsters, the Earth or something beyond the Earth, nature going nuts, it doesn't matter. And I think that's what they were going for. But again, I'm just getting, some political jabs at everybody. Hey, it's okay to kill rednecks because they like guns. It wasn't landing for me.
I want to piggyback off that because that was one of the notes that I made as well. The futility of humanity shows greatly in these 4 issues about how just everything that we do, number one, doesn't mean anything to these monsters. Not only that, but you got Girly Yaya doing a concert for monster rights, which was just freaking hilarious. My notes were people would probably look at this and say that is so stupid. All of this was so stupid. But that, I think, is what the point is the writers are trying to get across. Is yeah, it's stupid because, look, there is a giant monster leveling the city.
We're aware that there are people fighting for the rights of sex robots, right?
You have told me about that. I know that for sure.
Okay.
I remember hearing you talk about this, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just saying, I understand understand, like, when we talked about the Flintstones and, and it was like, come on, this is so infused with parables about modern society and where we are with ethics and philosophy that it got downright annoying when you consider the Flintstones to be sort of an innocent thing that was just there to make you laugh. That was kind of the Ronnie Adams argument. Well, it's the same thing here. And I would tell you that a lot of the jokes in this did ring true. A lot of the stuff with Obama kind of happened. When you think about like the BP oil spill, there were people who the day it happened, like he hadn't been in office that long, but like the day it happened, there were conservatives tripping over themselves, like trying to get to a microphone and saying it's his fault.
Oh yeah,
he didn't do enough. Obviously, throughout his presidency, all 8 years of it, because he was reelected in a landslide, that he was a Muslim and that he was like a threat to America, and that that this country was going to have, I can't remember the word for it, but like basically like Muslim, like we were going to have like Muslim law in all of our cities because of President Obama. These were things that people said. This happened. You have celebrities that that get in front of a camera and say the dumbest shit. And did I mention that there are people fighting for the right to sex robots? So to me, everything that stuff in the comic all made sense. And it's like you either like that stuff in your comics or you don't. But I thought it was a parody, but I thought it also rang true. Does that make sense?
It does. I understand.
I agree. I agree with that. The part where Woods, I did write this down. He says as he feverishly tries to pull it up on his phone again, where Woods says the greatest generation has lived just long enough to see their sacrifice culminate in a culture that idolized the cast of Jerseyfied. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get that. It's like, yeah, America, we're free, and we have all this great stuff, and we watch Jersey Shore.
Do you remember what happened after 9/11? People like Bill Maher were kind of irritated because instead of asking for Americans to sacrifice for the greater good and the war effort when it was originally in Afghanistan, Iraq, whole other thing. But when it was focused on Afghanistan and the Taliban, there was a lot of irritation amongst people like Bill Maher and other celebrities that there was that when the opportunity for the president, when we would have done anything for this dope, to make sacrifices like we did like he's talking about in World War II, he said, just go shopping, leave your house, go to the mall. Literally, that's what George Bush said. I don't know how old you guys were when this happened, but I remember it very, very clearly. And I remember Bill Maher like doing like a spit take, basically. Like, really? That's your rousing message to Americans in the wake of 9/11? Go shopping. Go to the mall.
I pretty much avoided all stuff as like politics, blah 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 blah, politics, blah 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 blah. That's just the way I've always seen that stuff. I always avoided it.
Mm-hmm.
Presidents on TV, change channel.
Yeah, but that's the point that character is trying to make, is that we are so comfortable and so removed from a lot of the stuff going on in the world that if we were now asked to make a sacrifice, we couldn't do it. I don't think this country could pull it together enough. And I think that's the point the author's trying to make. Whether that belongs in a Godzilla comic is up for debate.
Well, the part with the morning show where the cast of Jerseyfied and Sergeant Woods are on there, and they're like, "Oh, what about these giant monsters, huh? What a downer!" And I'm like, that is how most morning shows would handle it. And I'm laughing at them, but if there were giant monsters running around, I'd probably be like, "Oh man, that's bad." Okay, so what's for dinner tonight? I mean,
right.
I mean, a lot of the satire in there does, like you said, ring true. I mean, I think my favorite line was when they were at the music video awards, and the guy says, "When Yaya sings Goo Ga Bloody Da, angels weep." And I'm like, I've heard people wax poetic about the dumbest stuff to me.
And the funny thing is,
goes on.
The funny thing is, Evan isn't making that up either. That's actually how they put it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Although I did say, and I'm no fan of Lady Gaga, but I'm like, Lady Gaga would probably be raising money for the people out there who are affected. I mean, she seems like like she tries to do good stuff, but absolutely somebody would be saying, save the kaiju.
Yeah.
And what happened?
I'm guessing it would be Catch Me Outside Girl.
I understood what they were going for, but I just the tone was uneven. Like, you have this stuff that's like, this is deadly serious. This is not Godzilla in a rubber suit. And then you have these jokes, and I'm like, I don't feel like laughing. I just watched a kid get crushed.
Yeah. Again, they throw, if you're thinking that we're going to be just watching monsters fight each other, first off, that doesn't happen until what, issue 4? So
Right.
it takes forever just to get to your first monster battle. And that's really everything that leads up to that is just the carnage. And it's, take the gloves off. We're watching kids die. We're watching people die. Adults, old ladies getting crushed. I mean, it's bad.
Like I said, Rulers of Earth did in the first issue. Monster Battle first issue.
That's what I came for. That's what I wanted to read this for. I was like, this is Kingdom of Monsters. Get ready, folks. It's going to be a throwdown.
I think that's my only complaint, is that it's tonally inconsistent. I think you guys are right, where it's, on the one hand, they're devastating cities, people are dying, you're seeing people get squished up close, and then the next panel, poker face.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. This is when the wall gets crushed by Anguirus down there in Texas, Mexico. Anything else you'd like to add, Governor? As the governor was just touting on the wall.
Yeah.
This is President Ogden's fault. If he had fully funded my border wall, we wouldn't have been using such faulty materials. He's a lily-livered pro-monster communist.
Yeah, which is dead on how a lot of politicians would react. It's not Republican or Democrat. It's the other side. It's their fault. I mean, that's dead on.
That is the wall debate. That was the wall debate. It was literally like people going, the wall's not going to stop mass migration of people trying to flee like poverty and starvation. And other people going, build a wall. It's the only thing that'll keep the Mexicans out. That was the debate in a nutshell.
But while we're on the subject of Anguirus and tonal inconsistency, when he bites his tail and rolls along in a ball, I can't take anything serious anymore. I'm like, this could really kill a bunch of. Oh, okay. I mean, I hear the It just
that's what you're hearing. I'm hearing the music from Green Hills Zone 1 when he does that.
Yeah, damn it, you beat me to it, Alexis. I totally saw. I saw rings pop up and the Sonic the Hedgehog soundtrack.
Oh, there you. Yeah, okay.
The only time you ever saw him go into a ball really was the Godzilla Final Wars. That's the only time you ever saw him really go into the ball form.
I need someone to make this into a movie. Don't call it like a few years from now when they're done with the MonsterVerse and they reboot the Godzilla franchise. Make this into a movie. Call it Kingdom of Monsters, and when that scene happens, have him rolling through Texas to Limp Bizkit's "Rollin'."
Oh, nice.
That's what we need to see.
Roll, 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 roll.
I could have gone a long time without thinking about that song. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Always on the forefront of Mark's.
Hands up, hands down. What you gonna do now?
I was gonna, when we were talking about the politics and everything, I don't mind inserting a little political humor into the comics, but I hate how over the top obvious this was. Like, girly yeah. Get it, snap, grin, wink, nuts, say no more. It's like, okay, if you're going to do that kind of stuff.
I get that reference.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's like, if you're going to do that kind of shit, fine, go ahead, but don't make it so stupidly obvious. I mean, if you're calling it girly, it's like, just say Lady Gaga, okay? You are not fooling anyone, and it's more annoying than funny.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alexis. It is so on the nose, all this stuff that's happening in these first 4 issues, representing some of the crazy crap that happens around here.
I guess it just shows a lack of imagination on the writer and the artist, that all they really do is change around a few letters and change a hair color. It's like, oh, look, it's a total parody. It's like, no, you're just being lazy.
Yeah, this is kind of the Wayans brother parody style humor.
Oh, I feel that. Yes. Evan, did you have some more notes here?
Let me see. I think I hit most everything. Like I said, I'll avoid the Marvel tangent for now. But
hold on to that, because we are going to revisit.
Yeah, but no, that was pretty much it. I got what they were trying to do. I understood what they were going for, but just none of it landed for me. Okay. And then right after I finished reading this, you put it on the schedule, and I'm like, hey, I can talk about this, but am I just going to complain the whole time?
Oh, that's a part of this podcast. So don't you worry.
I mean, this really hurt bad. I mean, I hated putting down a Godzilla comic or just anything Godzilla related. I really didn't want to put this book down, but
unfortunately, it's all in the hands of the writers. I just want to check real quick. What was the name of that next one, Justin?
Godzilla Rulers of Earth.
Rulers. Okay, I want to just see.
Oh man, I tell you, Matt Frank's artwork is right on cue. I mean, right where it's supposed to be.
And it is a different writer, if that's what you're looking for, Jesse. I can't remember.
I'm looking at it. It's got Chris Mallory as the name of the writer here.
And Jeff Zornow does some of the variant art covers for the comics, and they are amazing.
Well, all right, Alexis, we've been around the horn. We haven't stopped at you yet. So give us your thoughts on these first 4 issues.
They're painful. The tone is, like you guys said, the tone is horribly inconsistent. This thing jumps from story to story so rapidly. It's a joke. I mean, one moment, you've got these kids being devoured by Godzilla, then it immediately jumps to the little French girls, which I don't know. I've seen way too many movies with creepy kids that take something like that seriously. And oh my god, the whole thing with Jersey-fied.
Yeah.
I'm 34 years old. I remember when Jersey Shore was a thing, and I remember thinking to myself, why the hell is this so popular? Why has this become a thing? What has happened to our culture? And just seeing it again, I know this comic's dated, but it's just painful to look back and go, oh, Lord. You know, I came to read a Godzilla comic. I want to see a good old-fashioned monster maul and brawl. I don't want to see a parody of Lady Gaga fighting for monster rights. Which
I just want to say Jersey Fried became Jersey Fried.
No.
But again, because they were terrible, it's okay for them to die.
Yeah,
that's what they wanted to tell us.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like that, go read the Flintstones.
Not to mention the whole speech from Woods about how we're too divisive as a country. It's like, and he's not siding to Republicans and Democrats. Again, it's like, okay, you clearly have a point you want to make, but it doesn't belong in a Godzilla comic. You want to make a political speech, go make a political speech. Keep it out of my monster maul and brawls.
Yes.
I would even go so far as to say you can have it in a Godzilla comic, but deliver it better than this.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
Okay. Yeah, our boy Sergeant Woods, you talk about Jersey Fried. You know, he has that opportunity. This is what I don't know if they're just trying to make him edgy or what the deal is. You know, he's upset with the way things are going in our nation, to where he's helping people out when this destruction is happening in Los Angeles. And then there is a point where this limousine carrying the cast of Jersey Fried is hanging there, and he has
Jersey Fried.
Jersey Fried. They aren't fried yet. Give me a second. But they're hanging there, and Sergeant Woods, they're begging for his help, and he just turns his back on them and walks away. That right there makes me wonder about the heroic aspect of this Sergeant Woods guy. Number one, because he just walks away. In my notes here, I wrote, do you think he's a monster himself? Because as he walks away, then Godzilla just lights him up. And then they became what, Justin?
Jersey Fried.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Listen, you can't say he's not a hero. He saved a little white girl, okay?
Oh.
There have been crusades for little white girls, okay? If she had been blonde, that would have been even better, but, we'll take what we can get.
Yes.
Captain America would never have walked away from Jersey Fried.
That's right. That's right, damn it.
I mean, unless it was Hydra Cap.
Well, Captain America also would have defeated Godzilla, let's face it.
Yes.
Very good possibility. One other real quick question I have, because, well, I have a couple. And Justin and our more experienced Godzilla files on here might be able to help me out. But there's a point in the book where when the egg hatches and Batra comes out, there's a bunch of insects, I think, that are flying, and they immediately die. Same thing happens with birds when Rodan hatches, I believe. Is there something there that I'm missing? Are they killing the same like life forms when they come alive that are around the immediate vicinity, or is there even an answer to all that? Justin, I'll ask you first.
That's all the book.
Okay.
I mean,
so
seriously, that's
not
all
in
the book.
mythology.
Kaiju flatulence is a real danger.
Damn it, he beat me to the fart joke, and I was just trying to let you guys talk. That's it. I'm talking over everybody now.
Okay, I thought the birds dying was sort of the saying that the birds were caught in the way of Rodan's wing power, hit them, like the whole idea like a plane hitting a bird.
Oh, sonic boom.
I think
that's what I thought, but I have no clue what the hell the Batra bugs were, because that obviously wasn't going to happen to the same effect.
I want to double check here real quick, but I think the whole Rodan thing, or the birds dying, were actually happening when he was escaping like the museum with the egg, and Rodan wasn't even awake yet, I don't believe. Yeah, he's got the egg in his hands. The kid steals it from the museum. They walk outside, and then birds just start falling to the ground. So I have no idea. I mean, chalk it up to monsters.
Did they ever explain in the other 8 issues like why all the monsters were appearing then?
They had that one guy, remember? He's like, "Oh, I know," and then he dies.
Oh, that's right. He does. He does that in issue 5. He's running. He's got the paper. I want to tell, and then it just squish.
Because once again, humanity is futile.
They appeared because reasons. That's why.
And then they were trying to introduce Kamonga into the book, and then they just kind of put it off. Kamonga's the giant spider, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, all of these, by the end of this, all of the beasts had been dealt with in some way, shape, or form, but the giant spider's just out there killing orcs and hobbits and shit.
Wrong movie.
Sorry.
And he would later end up in a forest outside of Hogwarts.
That spider gets around, little slut.
Wrong movie.
Yeah, Kamonga was actually renamed Spygan, son of Godzilla.
Okay.
Jesus, we're nerds.
I knew what I was stepping into on this podcast with these guys on here. So
can I just also point out that eventually these Godzilla series led to a 5-issue series called Godzilla in Hell, and the description from Hoopla reads: Godzilla meets his greatest adversary of all time, the impossible tortures of hell. Each issue of this special miniseries will see Godzilla enter a new level of the underworld to do battle with the impossible.
Why has nobody made that into a movie?
Well, these first 4 issues were hell. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. Let's hope. Sure, it's a different creative team. I would hope so anyway.
Yes.
So the other thing that kind of had me interested in these 4 issues, one thing, there was like little bits and bobs where I was like, okay, that seems kind of interesting. So we don't get to see Mothra. We get to see the fairies, and we get to see a guy that I think took care of the fairies. And he's watching Batra. I think this is at the end of issue 2 or issue 3. He's watching Batra hatch. And he says something along the lines of, something has gone horribly wrong. I was like, okay, what is it? And of course, by the end of the 4th issue, that's nothing that gets touched on again. So Justin Thomas is, other than the first 4 issues existing, what went wrong here that this guy was talking about?
They never really touched back upon that. I mean, I don't see that they ever did mention anything about it in this series.
Who is that guy? Is he like the caretaker of the fairies or something, or what is this dude?
And is he naked in his one appearance?
That I didn't need an answer to.
The fairies really never had caretakers. I mean, they always just went where they pleased. They always rode on Mothra or whatever. I mean, in the older movies, they rode on Mothra. And then in the, Rebirth of Mothra, they rode on a little Mothra fairy, a little mini Mothra they would ride on.
Like a butterfly?
Basically, yeah. I mean, it was somewhat of that size, but yeah, they would ride on it.
Does Mothra show up in the rest of the series? I assume Mothra shows up, right?
Does not.
Mothra does not show up in the rest of the series?
Issue 12, no Mothra still.
I don't even know.
What's the point of having the fairies if there's no Mothra?
Makes no sense. That's what I thought.
To get that Mothra song stuck in your head.
Oh, okay.
Masuraya.
There's a series between this and Rulers of Earth, I believe. But I wanted to read Rulers of Earth because I liked it so much. I skipped that last one, but I think there's a series that fits in between this.
Justin, Rulers of Earth, is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what happens? What do we got? What would we have to look forward to if we decided to read that?
Everybody has kind of realized, hey, the monsters are here to stay. They've fought them as long as they could possibly fight them. Everything's starting to get rebuilt. They found better ways to deal with them.
You're gonna be building underground or something.
They just basically found better ways to divert them and stuff.
Oh, okay.
To get them away from the cities. And that's the way it starts in the beginning. And then you got this new threat that's beginning to appear.
And this is Space Godzilla?
That's been taken care of in the story prior to that.
Okay.
The book prior to that. Anyways, so after this, they have dealt with the monsters. They dealt with space monsters, as they said already. And now they're dealing with monsters from under the sea.
Okay.
So that's henceforth where Zilla comes into play.
That's the plot to Pacific Rim.
So you got Zilla that appears. You got Manda the Serpent, which is from Atragon. She appears. You got Ghidorah, which is from Yog Monster from Space. That's one of the other names for this movie. But anyways, it appears. It's a giant squid.
Okay. So they're trying to deal with the sea threats now.
Exactly. And there's also Destroyer makes an appearance.
Destroyer!
Which doesn't make sense because Destroyer can't exist without the Oxygen Destroyer from 1954.
Oh, man.
So this doesn't make sense.
Justin Thomas has problems with this comic book continuity. Well, I understand.
But they're saying the creatures, which are not cockroaches, that created Gigan, are the ones that basically created Destroyer and are controlling the sea creatures.
Okay.
Does anyone else have every country has a monster from Mystery Science Theater 3000 stuck in their heads now?
Yeah.
I've heard that once.
Is that anything like every sperm is sacred?
No.
Oh, rats.
All right, then.
That's the Monty Python reference.
Yes, indeed.
I'm just hearing everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when you live in a tree.
So, Justin, you said it's definitely written better.
Oh, it's much better. I mean, and the art is right up there. I mean, you can tell that Matt Frank actually gives a crap about this whole franchise. And then, like I said, then you have the variant covers done by Jeff Zornow, and he's a huge Godzilla fanatic. I mean, I've talked to this guy on Facebook. Him and Matt Frank, I've actually talked to on Facebook, and they're both awesome. Jeff Zornow goes back, like, as a child, he's talking about getting bootlegs of the old Godzilla movies back when he was a child living in Detroit. He was getting bootlegs of Godzilla and Ultraman, and, I mean, it's awesome, man. This guy knows what he's talking about, knows what he's drawing.
All right, well, okay, let's just do, we all kind of got our thoughts out there. We'll go around the horn, 50 words or less, final thoughts on the book, and then I know our good buddy Evan Bevins has a little bit of Godzilla Marvel lore here to lay upon us. So, Alexis, final words on the first volume of Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters.
You know what? I'm just going to go watch MST3K's Godzilla versus Megalon. I think I'm going to get a better experience.
Much better than what we have here. All right, Justin Thomas?
Just read Rulers of Earth, please. I mean, seriously, just go read it.
All right.
I mean, it's much better.
Okay, Evan Bevins.
I know what they were trying to do. I didn't think it worked out, but I'm going to try to read some more Rulers of Earth and see if it got better as it went along.
Okay. All right. Mark Radulich.
You should absolutely go watch the best Godzilla film, the Matthew Broderick 1998.
Oh, well, you know what? Maybe you may be more entertained with the 1998 Godzilla film. You want to anything 98 related? Mark, read Godzilla Rulers of Earth #2.
Yeah,
awesome battle with Godzilla and Zilla. Freaking awesome battle. It was longer than the Final Wars battle. I would say that it was way better than that battle.
All right. Well, Evan Bevins, lay upon us some knowledge here. I know you did a little bit of research because I want to learn a little bit more about Godzilla making his appearance in comics. I know that Marvel had the rights to some Godzilla comics at one point.
Isn't he part of the Avengers now?
Who, Godzilla?
Not yet. Well,
isn't it like Godzilla, Conan, Ghost Rider? Yeah.
Let's have Godzilla go up against Fing Fang Foom.
But there was a character that Marvel introduced a few years ago named American Kaiju, who was a soldier named Private Todd Ziller.
Todd Ziller.
Oh, was that Stanley got out for a cup of coffee when that came out?
We'll see a member of the Great Lakes Avengers.
Oh, wow.
I love the Great Lakes Avengers so much.
Can we get a Great Lakes Avengers versus Justice League Europe going? That'd be fun.
Oh, my. So,
okay, so it has appeared already, thanks to the magic of time travel. I write a column talking about the comic book origins of different movies and TV shows for the Parkersburg News and Sentinel. And so I was doing research for Godzilla's various comic appearances. Other than like a 4-page promo comic that movie theaters gave out for Godzilla versus Megalon, Godzilla's first foray into American comics was by Marvel. Came out in 1977, lasted 24 issues, and as with a lot of Marvel's licensed properties back then, he was right in the thick of the regular continuity. S.H.I.E.L.D. with Nick Fury and Dum Dum Dugan and company was trying. What was that?
I said that's just insane to think of. Seeing Godzilla just thrown into Marvel continuity.
They also aimed up against the Shogun Warriors, didn't they?
I think so, because they had a villain in common, Dr. Demonicus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
By issue 3, he showed up in San Francisco and was taking on the champions.
All right.
Black Widow versus Godzilla, the fight we've always wanted to see. I think Hercules knocked him over.
Oh, wow.
Did he go up against the Micronauts at any point? I can't remember that.
I don't think so. But at one point they did shrink him down with Pym particles, so he was like human-sized when he fought the Fantastic Four.
Oh my gosh.
That doesn't seem fair.
What do you mean it doesn't fair? He's giant, dude. He's huge.
And then there's one where he fights a New York City sewer rat while he was shrunken down. But yeah. Then the Fantastic Four, the Avengers. It ended with issue 24, but Marvel kind of kept using him. There was an issue of Iron Man where this giant lizard that didn't really look like Godzilla came out, but Dr. Demonicus talked about how it was his greatest foe that he had captured and mutated, and you line up all the other facts, and it's Godzilla. I was reading about some of the other appearances, and it actually mentioned an issue of the Thing series, and I was sorting through comics today, and I pulled this out. This issue I got at a con a few years ago, and the Thing goes to see his girlfriend, who is a stunt woman on Devil Dinosaur, the movie. So while they're doing this, the Thing keeps rescuing her during stunts, messing up the production. It's a sitcom-y kind of thing. And so the third time he hears this big ruckus and he's like, no, I'm not doing this again. So he stays in the trailer, and this giant lizard, mutated Godzilla, is actually attacking the set.
Oh.
This creature kept showing up in other places, and then they finally killed it off in a run of X-Men. This scientist who had been helping S.H.I.E.L.D. pursue Godzilla was part of this group of scientists that the Beast put together, and they ended up fighting a villain in this creature that, again, all the references track back to Marvel Godzilla comics, shows up, and I don't know that I read that one, but so Marvel Godzilla got killed off finally, I guess.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, he kept showing up, and they kept making veiled references, even though they can't use it. Years ago, they did one of the Marvel Essential volumes, the black and white phone book sized collections of Essential Godzilla, and it was like $20 or $25, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger on that one. And now you can't find it because Marvel doesn't have the rights to reprint it. I was over at Multiverse Comics in Parkersburg, but he got an issue in. It was like issue 23 with the Avengers on the cover, and he said that all those issues go for about $15 now because there are no reprints. And even the Essential Godzilla is pretty expensive if you find it on Amazon or eBay.
So, oh wow, okay. Yeah, I was going to say I didn't know they actually did an Essential on Godzilla.
Pretty much after Marvel lost the rights, Dark Horse picked them up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are really good books, I will say that.
I haven't read anything Dark Horse Godzilla related as far as I know.
Dark Horse published Godzilla versus Charles Barkley.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just insane. Oh man, I'm so glad you brought that to the table. I wanted to hear some. I know you do your research and you always bring something very interesting and definitely something to learn. So I am educated.
I definitely like me some Devil Dinosaur. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the thing number 31. I imagine it's not very hard to track down, but it's pretty funny. I mean, it's Ben Grimm, stepping in it, every man making a fool of himself and trying to impress a girl, and then there are giant monster fights.
I just like all the old classic Marvel monsters. The old Groot and Fin Fang Foom and all them.
Did you read any of Monsters Unleashed?
Oh, I love that.
I wanted to.
I read we did the crossover on here, and of course I went like crazy, and it was just like, and here's how I do the movie.
Yes.
But
I gotta go back and find that one.
I actually read the first volume of the series Monsters Unleashed. I like the Kid Kaiju character. He's fun.
They're bringing him back in a special this year for the 80th anniversary. But my favorite character from that, hands down, is Scrag, the insect-looking guy who always talks like an evil villain, but is actually really a thoughtful and a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like there's one where he pops up and he goes, "Scrag demands to know what you're talking about," because he is concerned about his friends and their feelings.
All right, well, I think this is going to bring our discussion of Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters Volume 1 to a close. I had a good time.
We're all in agreement I picked a really good one to do, right?
You picked a very timely topic.
Yeah, exactly.
That everybody here was interested in.
We did have, we had a good discussion, though. I think just what we had the chance to read and actually...
It's definitely seared into our minds. I mean, literally burned right in there.
Yeah.
We're never going to forget Jersey Fried.
Too bad Girly Yaya couldn't immortalize them in song.
You're welcome, everybody.
Oh, my goodness. All right, let's get into plugs here. Plugs. Justin Thomas, let's start with you, buddy. I mean, I know you do some gaming. Give everybody your gamer tag and plug whatever you want to plug, man.
Pretty much, you can find me on Steam under Spectre 13. I'm also on the PlayStation Network under Spectre 13. You can find me on Xbox Live under Arctic Lightning. I'm always playing games, so I mean you pretty much find me on there quite a bit. So anyways, then I have all pretty much everything social, all social networking. I pretty much have it all. Just look for Spectre 13 on all of it. That's SPEKTR 13. And basically, as far as Facebook goes, that's the only one that actually has my real name on it. So
okay,
yeah, just Justin Thomas for that one.
Look for the approving Deadpool pick, right?
Yep, the big thumbs up.
Big thumbs up.
Deadpool on the thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm sure Justin would love to talk some more Godzilla with anybody out there. I'd love to listen. All right, then, Evan Bevins, you've got some stuff to plug. Plug that article you mentioned earlier as well. So what do you got, man?
Yeah, you'll be able to find that on newsandsentinel.com. I do about every other week, depends on when the stuff comes out, but a column called Back Issues about the comic book origins of different TV shows and movies. There's a few of them out now. I also write in the monthly Graffiti. It's a West Virginia entertainment magazine. I usually have a column on comics for that. Next one, which should be out by the time that this airs, is the 10 unlikeliest Justice League members.
Oh boy,
Hawkeye makes the list.
Oh, okay.
Ambush Bug, huh?
Ambush Bug is on the list too. Yeah,
very nice.
So that's at graffitiwv.com. I have written, and we will get new pages and stories in the future. A webcomic called Support Group, about a support group for people with lame superpowers, in case your origin doesn't go the way they show it in the comics.
Those are awesome. I purchased your issue so far, so yeah.
Thank you.
Those are very awesome.
I knew I liked you. You have good taste.
All right. Alexis Hana, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, please. By all means, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you very much. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, intersection of geek and chic. We just wrapped up our month-long spring sale, but we have a bunch of new stuff coming to the store. We have a handful of new barrettes, bracelets, and we are going to be making an appearance at the Greater Austin Comic-Con. That is the weekend of June 15th and 16th. Really looking forward to that. We were there last year. It was a huge success. We are so excited to be coming back to that. It's also going to be interesting because this is going to be my first big trip taking, drumroll, my little sister as my assistant. God help me.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Again, Honeysuckle Rose Creations. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We have online stores on Etsy and handmade at Amazon. Intersection of geek and chic.
Spectacular. All right, Mark Radulich.
All right, last week, Memorial Day, there were a couple of shows. You had source material Bloodlines. You had the...
That'd be Blood Ties. Sorry. I got to step in there. There was a DC Bloodlines, and I don't want people to get confused.
Oh, okay.
All
so
right.
there was the source material Blood in Your Eyes. It was about Dustin Rhodes at the AEW show.
No, and no, and no.
Somebody check Mark's script.
Also, that dropped that day, Memorial Day, that is, was the Long Road to Ruin, John Wick, which got delayed from the previous Thursday. Oh, and 9,000 other shows.
Oh boy,
from 2015. So sorry. On Tuesday, Alexis Hana joined myself and Robert Winfrey to review the new Aladdin. It was fantastic. We loved it. No, seriously, listen to the review. Jesse and I reviewed the new Sworn Enemy. On Thursday, myself, Mr. Toxic Masculinity, Pat Mullen, and The Last Word, Robert Winfrey, had a TV party tonight reviewing Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. Saturday, June 1st, again, it's the same trio, did alternate commentary for the heavyweight championship boxing fight, Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz Jr. On Sunday, Chris Bailey. Jesse and I reviewed NXT 25 from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and a fun time was had by all. Tomorrow, so Alexis Hana will be joining myself and Robert Winfrey to review Godzilla King of Monsters, Jesse's favorite band in the whole weird wide world, Allegiance, on Metal Hammer of Doom. They have a new album. Thursday, we'll be doing an on-trial for Godzilla 1998, and I'm going to explain to you why that's the greatest movie ever. And on Friday, June 7th, you will hear Alexis Hana and I do a commentary track for the 1998 Godzilla film, as I explained to her, personally, directly to her, just how great that movie is. I hope you'll excited for that.
Don't worry, guys. I've got my own material. I know exactly what I'm going to come back with.
Oh, good. Good.
Exhibit A, Jean Reno.
I think that's it for now.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw the old can plugs here in at the end. But I want to thank my guests, Alexis Hana, Justin Thomas, Evan Bevins, Mark Radulich, for coming on here and discussing Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters. We're going to catch you sometime soon here, most likely next week. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye. Thank you all for joining us. Make sure to give that Radulich in Broadcasting Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts we have to offer. We are at home on Spreaker, but you can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and recently we have hit the air on Spotify. Find your favorite podcast platform and type in RADULICH to subscribe for some great content. If you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word. And as always, we appreciate any feedback and look forward to entertaining you again soon.
Is that why on Facebook the Radulich Broadcasting Network page was suddenly sharing like every single podcast for the last 2 years?
Yes, and caused me to get disconnected from YouTube for a while because I tripped all the copyright claims today. Girls running YouTube are just like, what? Stop it! No! So get ready for that big fat check of $10.
Woo, I'm going to Disneyland.
Hey, you can buy one of these Godzilla trades.
I wouldn't buy this one. Please, can we just call it Zilla? Just for now.
How about Jean Reno versus Godzilla?
Baby Godzilla. Baby Godzilla.
That doesn't need to happen.
I had a shirt that I think my mom and brother got at a Methodist youth conference that said Yo quiero Jesus.
Wait, can I take one more shot at that joke?
Please.
Okay, his name was actually Godzilla Do. I can't wait for your husband to ask what you did tonight and be like, essentially I sat and listened to people talk about Godzilla and make a bunch of terrible jokes.
That sounds like a great day to me.
Can we quick get Ronnie Adams on here to start screaming, get your politics out of my comics?
Why do you have that on a soundbite on call?
The old lady who?
Yeah. Why do you always have to yodel?
Big gag reel tonight. That's all it's going to be.
Will the gag reel be longer than the actual show?
President Ogden does not care about Asian people. Timbooba! Timbooba!
If we had done the whole thing with just video of me, I wouldn't have even had to have lip synced very well, and it would have totally been in the spirit of Godzilla. Minor ailment, but I was in the hospital as a child when the second episode of the X-Men cartoon came out. My doctor came in and was like trying to tell me stuff, and she kept turning the TV down, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is X-Men. And I kept turning it back up.
I gotta see what happened to Morph.
That's okay. I may have cancer, but I'm not missing Spider-Man. Not its opening week, you crazy doctor, you.
The only thing I really know about the Red Hulk is the issue. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but he finds a loophole about grabbing Mjolnir since he's not worthy. He finds out that he can grab it and lift it as long as Thor is still holding it.
Yeah.
And basically, it's exactly what they were. Quit hitting yourself. Quit hitting yourself.
Source material bonus content.
Now, Evan, I know you, Evan and Justin are both from my area. Okay, so Evan, where'd you graduate?
I actually graduated from Bluefield High School down in southern West Virginia.
Oh, heck, I lived down there for a little bit. Okay, all right. So then, and is that where you're saying you saw these books?
Yeah, Kraft Memorial Library in Bluefield, West Virginia.
Yeah, buddy. Okay. Well, as exciting as that discussion was, we're about to get into some not.
Can I just say that Gigan was controlled by a very unusual creature?
Okay.
You wanna tell him, Evan? Or do you want me to tell him?
What is this about?
I think you're gonna have to tell him because you're about to expose how deep my Godzilla knowledge does not run. I just thought Gigan always looked awesome.
Gigan is actually controlled by intelligent cockroaches.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Because
that was a plot. That was a plot to one of the Powerpuff Girl episodes. You can't fool me.
Justin jogged my memory. Godzilla versus Gigan is about a comic book artist who gets employed by the intelligent cockroaches posing as humans.
What?
Yeah, and he has to design stuff for a Godzilla theme park. For reasons. I mean, honestly, the human parts of the Godzilla movies, I just was like, okay, as a young child, I was like, I have to watch these people talk until Godzilla shows up to punch the monster.
Yes. Yeah, you got to sit through that, and then the wanton destruction begins. So,
for the record, if you guys are interested, I just found on Daily Motion, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Godzilla versus Megalon. And I will send you guys the link if you want it.
Oh, please do. Put it in the chat there.
I don't know. I can only imagine that they just sit there and drink in the majesty. I'm not sure what sort of sarcasm they would have.
Drink in the vodka, whatever happens first.
Godzilla versus Gigan is also known as Godzilla Monster Island, and it's also the first time that they had the monsters talking with each other. Godzilla and Anguirus talked.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, interesting. Anguirus.
I always heard Anguirus. Like there's the UI gives an Anguirus.
I was calling him Anguirus the whole time as I was making my notes.
I thought it was Angelus, like on Buffy.
No, I'm afraid not.
I didn't know.
Well, he's been called Anguirus to be called Angulus. He's also been nicknamed Anzilla, also because he's usually the partner of Godzilla in some of the movies.
Okay.
I like the shots where you can see that he's crawling on his knees, because it's just a dude in a suit.
Yeah, there's another monster that's similar to that in Frankenstein Conquers the World. It's called Baragon.
Okay.
The exact same, crawling on the knees, exact same thing.
Well,
and I don't care.
We are such freaking nerds.
Mark Radulich, what have you found on the internet so far? Because I know that's where you're at right now.
I'm trying to figure out which Kiss comic we should cover in October and November. I tuned out of this a long time ago, sir.
How about the crossover with Howard the Duck?
What now?
Kiss. Steve Gerber was writing the Kiss comic for Marvel at the same time he was writing Howard the Duck, and there was a brief Kiss cameo in an issue of Howard the Duck.
Well then.
Oh, I want a full team up. That's awesome.
Yeah, I need a full team up of Kiss and Howard the Duck, not just the cameo.
It was like a cliffhanger ending, and then they were gone 2 or 3 pages into the next issue.
Yeah.
Sad.
Speaking of weird cameos, did you know Godzilla actually fought Bambi?
Yes. Yes.
Here?
Yes, indeed.
Godzilla
That
versus
seems like an
Bambi.
unfair fight.
Okay.
That's got to be floating around on the internet somewhere. I actually, that's in my notes for Kingdom of Monsters. There's a scene in it that reminded me of Godzilla versus Bambi, and I thought Godzilla versus Bambi did it much better.
I'm looking it up.
Already looking for it.
Why?
Oh my
Is this a
God,
comic or is this a
right.
movie?
It was a little animated short that was
Oh, I've seen that. It just steps on him.
yeah, it was with Godzilla
Hey,
1985.
spoiler alert.
You mean Bambi doesn't kick Godzilla's ass? I am very upset.
Well, if they were booked in an AEW ring, I'm guarantee you Bambi would do a bunch of flippity doos and beat Godzilla.
And who's gonna bleed the most, Mark?
At Godzilla.
He also,
Hopefully there's a run in by Ace Romero.
Oh, please. bring that-
He's not going to run. He's going to waddle.
Joey Janela just gets squished out of nowhere. We don't understand why.
he also went up against Charles Barkley.
Now,
I
know
own that comic.
Evan has told me about that stuff right there. I remember him mentioning that, and because you also talked about you were trying to pull other stuff together. What was the other one? Rodan versus Larry Bird, or what was it?
That would be good. It was Larry Bird versus Hawkman.
There we go. Brilliant.
This is the world we live in, folks.
Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters. To bring everybody down a notch here because we're having too much fun. We've got to actually talk about this book.
I just got a little trivia here.
Oh no, Justin Thomas.
So what was the very first Godzilla movie to have collar?
Oh, shoot.
I would have no idea.
Godzilla versus the Rainbow.
Oh. That would have sucked in black and white.
Did you see the first Godzilla to have cholera?
Not cholera, sir.
Yeah, Godzilla in the time of cholera. That was a totally different one.
Oh, good Lord.
Godzilla versus hepatitis. I'd watch that.
Oh, God.
Any wild guesses?
We got this far off track.
No clue, dude. No clue. I'll go with, I have no idea because I couldn't even think of the title.
It's King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, that was the first one in color.
First one in color. The actual first Toho movie in color was Rodan, but that's first Godzilla movie in color, though.
Very nice. Justin Thomas with the trivia.
The all-new Toyota RAV4 asks, what if? What if your ride was refined and rugged at the same time? Introducing the all-new RAV4 Hybrid. 208 combined horsepower and standard all-wheel drive make it the most powerful RAV4. Plus, with its head-turning style and breakaway speed, it's bound to change the way you think of a hybrid. The all-new RAV4 Hybrid. Toyota. Let's go places. Horsepower. Ratings achieved using the required premium unleaded gasoline with an octane rating of 91 or higher. Premium fuel is not used. Performance will decrease.
Get to Old Navy's Best of Summer sale now for the best summer styles at the best prices. Get $2 flip-flops, $4 tanks, $6 tees, and $8 dresses and shorts for the whole family. Summer styles are just $2, $4, $6, and $8. $2 flip-flops, $4 tanks, $6 tees, and $8 dresses and shorts. Can't wait to wear it? Buy online and pick up in-store for free. Ends soon at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Valid 6/10 to 6/18. Excludes gift cards. Today only and 2-day only deals. Store clearance, register lane items, and jewelry.